About 55% of Indian exports to the U.S. are expected to take a hit from tariffs imposed by the Trump administration.
As expected, the White House has announced an increase on duties to Canadian softwood lumber.
But a lot of companies have signaled that price hikes aren't far off, and some of them are already starting. How might this all look in a real person's life?
Imagine walking into a jewelry store, ready to buy the engagement ring of your dreams. You've saved, you've planned, and you picture the moment when you open that box. But instead of joy, you're met with a shocking reality. The same ring that was within reach a few months ago now costs thousands more. No special upgrades, no added value, just a new price tag that feels impossible. Now imagine a family starting construction on their first home. The foundation is poured, the walls are ready to rise, but suddenly the cost of lumber adds $6,000 to the bill. $6,000 for the exact same wood. The dream of a home begins to slip away. This is not bad luck. It's not inflation on its own. It is the direct result of tariffs, a deliberate political choice. Since August 1st, the Trump administration has pushed forward with aggressive trade measures, duties ranging from 10% to 50% on imports from more than 90 countries. These are not small adjustments at the margins. They are sweeping, heavy-handed tariffs, hitting everything from the sparkle of a diamond to the beams inside a house. The White House calls it leverage, a way to pressure other nations into better trade deals. But step outside the political spin, and you find the real cost. That cost is landing directly on American households, on couples ready to get married, on families building homes, on middle-class budgets already stretched thin. Take diamonds. They are not just luxury goods. They are cultural milestones, symbols of commitment, of family, of tradition. And here is the hard fact. 90% of the world's diamonds are cut and polished in India. That supply chain is not changing anytime soon. But when the United States doubled tariffs on Indian diamonds from 25% to 50%, it set off a chain reaction. Jewelers in New York's Diamond District were the first to feel it. At 10%, the industry could absorb some of the pain, sharing the hit between suppliers and customers. At 50%, the math breaks. Prices cannot be contained, and this hit arrives at the worst possible moment. Gold prices are already at record highs, roughly double what they were just a few years ago. Put those two forces together, and suddenly engagement rings, wedding bands, and fine jewelry are becoming unattainable for average families. What once felt like a rite of passage is now a financial burden. Some buyers are even considering traveling abroad to purchase jewelry where tariffs don't apply. But let's be real, that's not an option for most Americans. For the majority, the result is simple: pay more or go without. Now let's turn to lumber, specifically Canadian softwood. For decades, Canada has been one of America's closest partners in supplying the wood that frames homes across the country. But this month, Washington doubled duties yet again, raising the tariff to more than 35%. The Ontario Forest Industries Association has done the math. These tariffs add an extra $6,000 to the cost of building a single-family home in the United States. $6,000 that doesn't improve quality, doesn't change design, doesn't buy anything new. It is simply the cost of tariffs. For middle-class families, especially those rebuilding after wildfires or hurricanes, that number isn't abstract. It's devastating. It can be the difference between finishing a home or giving up on the dream. And yet Canada is not standing still. Prime Minister Mark Carney's government has rolled out a 1.22 billion Canadian dollar support package for its lumber industry, $700 million in loan guarantees to keep mills running, $500 million to diversify exports toward Europe and Asia. Canada is reinforcing its industries while America's consumers absorb the shock. The Yale Budget Lab projects the 2025 tariff package could add thousands of dollars to the average household's annual expenses. Think about that for a second. Thousands of dollars stripped from family budgets in a single year, and it's not stopping. Trump's global sweep of tariffs stretches across more than 90 countries. Minimum 10% on imports, some as high as 50%. Brazil is hit with a full 50%. Switzerland faces 39%. Even close allies like the European Union, Japan, and South Korea are seeing new duties. And looming on the horizon is something even bigger. Trump has threatened a 100% tariff on foreign-made computer chips. That would hit nearly every corner of the technology sector. Phones, laptops, cars, appliances, all dependent on semiconductors. By July, the government had collected more than $150 billion from tariffs. But who paid? Not foreign governments, not overseas suppliers. The bill landed on American importers, and importers faced with higher costs passed them straight down the line to consumers. Appliances cost more, clothing costs more, furniture costs more. The consumer price index reflects it. Tariffs don't disappear, they multiply, and the world is not waiting quietly. India continues to buy Russian oil, signaling it will not be bullied into changing course. South Africa warns of job losses as U.S. tariffs erode its past advantages, forcing it to chase thinner margins in markets across Asia and the Middle East. Canada is already redirecting grain exports to Europe, threatening to cut American farmers off from one of their largest customers. What started as pressure is now sparking adaptation. The political fallout is even larger. Canada and Mexico, once cautious to keep their distance from each other's economic strategies, are now openly pledging deeper bilateral trade. Brazil, facing the steepest tariffs of all, is accelerating its pivot toward BRICS partners in Asian economies. Trump's sweeping measures, designed as power plays, are pushing other nations together, not under American leadership, but away from it. The consequences stretch beyond economics. They touch culture, tradition, and everyday life. A young couple hesitating over a ring they can no longer afford. A family staring at unfinished walls of a house that suddenly costs too much to complete. Small business owners in New York's Diamond District calculating how many customers they will lose this holiday season. Mill workers in Canada depending on government guarantees to keep their jobs alive. These are not abstract statistics. They are lived realities, and the ripple effects will not stop at the border. Across Latin America, countries are already signaling a quiet realignment. Brazil, Colombia, and others are opening doors wider to BRICS institutions, seeking development financing outside the American sphere. They are building new trade routes, new partnerships, new dependencies, and every step away makes it harder for Washington to claim influence in the future. The irony is sharp. Tariffs are pitched as a tool to make America stronger, to force better deals, to bring jobs home. But the world is responding differently. Instead of compliance, there is resistance. Instead of isolation, there is cooperation. Instead of leverage, there is learning. Learning how to live without the United States at the center. So what does this all mean? It means that while tariffs may raise billions in the short term, their deeper cost may not be measured in dollars alone. The true cost may be in fractured trust, declining diplomatic capital, and supply chains that learn to move around the United States instead of through it. For American households, the impact is personal and immediate. Jewelry more expensive, homes harder to build, appliances, clothing, furniture creeping up in price. For businesses, the calculations grow harder. Absorb the costs or pass them down. For allies, the message is blunt. America is no longer predictable. And for rivals, the opportunity is wide open. The question we should be asking is simple. Is this really leverage? Or is it the beginning of America teaching the world how to move on without it? Because when you look closely, the most dangerous part of tariffs may not be what they tax. It may be what they break.